Fuera. No. Fuera. Out.
You might be wondering, what is going on here? And actually, it's a good question. Because judging by the weather and the colors, we are still in Latin America somewhere. But then who is this? And why is she wearing a t-shirt that says Berlin? And why is that very same t-shirt also saying El Salvador? Shouldn't it say Germany or something? Also, why aren't the dogs allowed in the shot? Do they not like Bitcoin? Oh boy, here we go again. As if we haven't already accumulated enough questions in this series, now we're opening this episode by adding even more. Luckily, I discovered something important in the last episode, namely the rewind effect. It allows us to roll everything back to the very start of this episode. Hopefully, that will provide us with some answers. And for the second episode in a row, the rewind effect takes us back to Juan's car. Now, if you're not watching these episodes back to back, here's a quick catch-up for you. So Carolina and I are on a mission across Latin America to find out if Bitcoin really works as freedom money. At this point, our duo has become a trio because we met Don Juan in the last episode, and he's now guiding us out of San Salvador and deeper into the country.
This is Soyapango. This was the worst part of the country during the gangs.
Hopefully without any gang-related trouble.
This play area now, is it as safe as the city center, or will it be more unsafe here?
It is safe.
It's safe.
I think it's safe. I don't came here a lot, but I think it's safe.
Right.
Anyway, in the last episode, Juan did deflect some of my more politically oriented questions, and a normal person might have taken the hint. But then again, a normal person aren't usually on a mission to figure out whether Bitcoin adoption works better top-down or bottom-up.
And if we go back to Bukele,
Yeah.
so you have mixed feelings.
I didn't vote for him.
Yeah.
Nope.
Why?
Because he was coming from the left party, from the FMLN. Then he changed the party. Then he created his own party.
Is he like a chameleon? Like he changes colors and...
Perhaps. I'm a little bit afraid to speaking about that, you know?
Okay. Yeah. Gotcha.
Once again, Juan politely tries to set up a boundary. And in order to respect that boundary, I'm going to introduce you to a new transition effect, the time-lapse, allowing us to skip straight past all my inappropriate questions and on to our next stop. And this stop might just help us make sense of the questions we stumbled into in the opening scene, the one with the Berlin t-shirt and the dogs, because we're now entering Berlin, El Salvador. It's a small town east of San Salvador, and unlike the German city with the same name, Berlin, El Salvador isn't known for its underground techno scene. The name actually comes from a German man named Serafin Brennen, who survived a shipwreck off the coast of El Salvador in the late 1800s. He washed ashore, stumbled inland, and apparently looked around and thought, this place is pretty nice, aber it is not mein beloved Deutschland. Yeah, sorry, that was supposed to be a German accent. Anyway, Berlin isn't on the coast, so Serafin must have started walking. Maybe he still had hopes of making it back to his beloved Deutschland. But after about 40 kilometers, when he reached a small town called Gramalon, I imagine he looked around and thought, "Ach, scheiße, I'm tired of walking now. This place is Deutsch enough for me. Yeah, I don't know if that German accent is improving, but somehow Serafin must have convinced the locals to see it the same way as him and struck some kind of deal to change the name of the whole city. And just like that, a Latin Berlin was born. So from this accidental side quest with Serafin, we now time-lapse 150 years forward back to our main story. Boy, that time-lapse effect is effective. I may have to be a bit careful with that going forward, actually. Anyway, from the moment we set foot in this unlikely marriage of German order and Latin energy, we can feel it. Something is different.
¿Cuánto es?
Within minutes of arriving, we have paid for our hotel with Bitcoin. Minutes later, we're paying for lunch, also in Bitcoin. There are signs everywhere shouting that Bitcoin is accepted. And then we see it. A house. Not just any house. A Bitcoin house. What is going on? Has the Bitcoin protocol evolved into something else entirely? Has some unseen update gone rogue, causing a hard fork, not in code but in context, splitting Bitcoin from its digital roots and anchoring it in physical reality as a little orange house in a small Salvadorian city? There's only really one way to find out. By entering this strange building. That is, if we somehow manage to get past the vicious guard dog. Fortunately, the dog was easily distracted by a pinecone, and this gives us just enough time to get a quick guided tour of the Berlin Bitcoin Center. Wait, isn't that Don Julio from the previous episode? Well, I guess he will just have to wait, because for now we are sitting down with Patricia, one of the founders of Bitcoin Berlin, to try and figure out what this Bitcoin building is and what on earth is going on in this small El Salvadorian city.
Bueno, el proyecto en sí se llama Bitcoin Berlin. Y el proyecto al inicio empezó desde cero. Pasamos prácticamente 6 meses desde el inicio hasta que nos logramos estabilizar en un lugar como este. Salíamos al campo a educar, a hablar acerca de Bitcoin, a enseñar, o sea, de manera personalizada, se podría decir. Es ahí como donde entra el centro, claro. Porque nosotros acá estamos todos los días, o sea, nosotros tenemos el centro abierto para que las personas locales, sobre todo, vengan y se informen, y nosotros los atendemos, les ayudamos, les damos soporte técnico si en algún momento tienen problemas con sus billeteras. Entonces estamos como en una ciudad mediana. Hay emprendedores pequeños y las empresas más grandes, estamos hablando de supermercados, gasolineras, restaurantes. Entonces esas son como los más top en empresas en el caso de esta ciudad. Entonces en el caso de adopción de Bitcoin, quizás nosotros en empresas tengamos 150, alrededor de 150 o más. Hay ciertos muros con los que uno se encuentra al momento de abordar Bitcoin, ¿verdad? Por ejemplo, tenemos el hecho de que las personas entre sí, acá en Berlín, aceptan Bitcoin y todo, o sea, todo normal en sus transacciones, en sus ventas de servicios y productos. Pero nos hemos topado con el caso de que los proveedores de las empresas grandes no les aceptan Bitcoin. Entonces, realmente la ley aquí en el país está todavía un poco corta o un poco pequeña acerca de Bitcoin. Y una de esas cosas es que no es obligatorio, ¿verdad? Está la ley, pero no es algo que te obliga.
The talk with Patricia helps to ground me a little bit. What she describes is undoubtedly grassroots, bottom-up initiatives spreading knowledge and building a circular economy around Bitcoin. But even in El Salvador, where Bitcoin is legal tender, Berlin's Bitcoin project still hits friction, especially with larger or external suppliers who simply won't accept Bitcoin. So what does that tell us? If Bitcoin struggles even here where it's officially backed by laws and the president, does that mean it needs even more top-down support to function as freedom money? That would raise an uncomfortable question. Is Bitcoin really fuck the government money if it needs the same government's help and permission? What is Bitcoin really? Is it freedom money, or is it more like a rebellious teenager blasting punk, slamming doors, refusing to do the dishes, while still living at home and using mom's Wi-Fi? Just as I start spiraling down this rabbit hole of questions yet again, something unexpected happens. At the local market, we run into a familiar face. A man you might remember from the dramatic volcano scene that opened the last episode.
Hola, mi nombre es Julio Ernesto Cruz. Soy artesano de la ciudad de Berlín.
It's Don Julio. In addition to selling handcrafted souvenirs at the market, Don Julio offers local tours. And when we find out that he accepts Bitcoin, well, that just settles it. And just like that, we're off. First stop with Julio is a small hill just outside the town center. Perfect spot to watch the sunset.
¿Qué pienso de Bitcoin? Bueno, pienso que es una nueva forma de interactuar entre nosotros los humanos. Eso significa que puedo hacer negocios con cualquier persona sin importar que sea nacional o extranjero, y así puedo percibir una mejor forma de hacer negocios.
Along the way, Julio reflects on his experiences living between two official currencies in El Salvador, the established US dollar and the emerging reality of Bitcoin.
Pasa algo que pocos logran entender o comprender. El dólar día con día está perdiendo poder de adquisición. En cambio el dólar, el Bitcoin, ha venido a literalmente a refrescar nuestra economía, porque suele pasar que cuando Bitcoin está a la alza, yo he logrado comer y he sentido que he comido gratis.
¿El qué?
Porque cuando yo conozco el balance que hay de Bitcoin en mi billetera y de repente sube, voy, comemos con mi hija en algún lugar y pago, pero vuelvo a revisar el balance de mi billetera y no he gastado nada. Entonces, eso es genial. Aligera la carga económica. En cambio, el dólar, puedo tener $100 y de repente, lo que hoy puedo comprar con $100, mañana ya cuesta 110. Eso significa que está perdiendo poder adquisitivo. Por lo tanto, prefiero la estabilidad del Bitcoin, porque en vez de perder, tiene mucho más poder para adquirir más cosas. Y así se resuelve la economía personal.
We reached the viewpoint, which is a quiet ridge framed by jungle. And it's here, of all places, that something clicks. Because right in the middle of the forest, with just a single bar of reception left on our phone, but also a single bar selling soft drinks,
¿Aceptan Bitcoin?
we were able to buy cold sodas using borderless, permissionless, unstoppable money. No bank, no card, no bureaucracy, just peer-to-peer value sent me from one thirsty guy in the jungle directly to a guy running a small family-owned business. No third party, no President Bukele, no US dollars, no Visa or MasterCard, no washing the dishes.
Podemos hacerle unas preguntitas, si tiene tiempo. ¿Cómo es su nombre?
Mi nombre es Josué Alejo.
José, mucho gusto.
Gracias,
Nicolai, Carolina.
Mucho gusto, Nicolás. Carolina.
Nos habían dicho que no aceptaba Bitcoin antes.
Ajá, anteriormente no.
¿Y cómo ha sentido el cambio?
Es una nueva
¿Se ha sentido?
es una nueva oportunidad, porque hay clientes que manejan la moneda así digital, entonces no nos dejamos ir, sino que sabemos que van a consumir porque tenemos la posibilidad de poder aceptar moneda digital.
And maybe, in theory, this very transaction and this very moment wouldn't have happened without El Salvador and President Bukele launching the boldest national Bitcoin experiment to date. Simply because, let's be honest, I probably would never have come here otherwise. But out here in the jungle, far away from Bukele, any central bank or any formal institution, it hits me. This transaction has nothing to do with policy or even legislation. This is about a decentralized monetary system doing exactly what it was designed to do, without asking for anyone's permission. It didn't stop by San Salvador to check for any updates to the Bitcoin law. It didn't consult the central bank or wait for approval. It just worked. It moved value from the thirsty guy in the jungle to the local bar owner who saw an opportunity in accepting Bitcoin. Direct, instant, borderless. And what I realize is that this is what Bitcoin is. Unstoppable money, flowing freely through a global network that anyone, anywhere can connect to. No gatekeepers, no permissions, just a stream of value moving peer to peer. It can be nudged towards places like El Salvador through friendly legislation, or pushed away by bans and regulation. But it doesn't start or stop on anyone's orders, because a decentralized network doesn't take orders. It flows where people choose to use it, open, borderless, and unstoppable. Bitcoin doing its job in the sunset. And what a sunset it turns out to be. So after that amazing sunset, our next stop with Don Julio is... actually, we already saw that in the previous episode, the dramatic boiling volcano. Yeah, still pretty epic. But let's move the story forward here, and we should probably circle back to some of the questions we raised in the opening scene of this episode. Remember this woman? Well, her name is Evelyn.
Gerardo and I are not from Berlin.
Along with her husband Gerardo and Patricia that we talked with earlier, she's one of the founders of Bitcoin Berlin.
We got into a lot of troubles in the beginning, but we didn't listen. We kept going and kept going. And consistency, I think it's one of the key ingredients for a success. And there's going to be more crazy people in the way who believes what you believe and will join you. And it's like that energy that aligns and helps things to just flow and succeed and happens. There's some people spreading rumors that all the expats that are living here are being paid by the government to be here and to talk about Bitcoin and to do all this Bitcoin stuff here. And so we don't pay attention, and that has worked because so far we have, I think, 150 businesses that accepts Bitcoin, and then we have several people that also provide services. They don't have a store, but they accept Bitcoin, like the cleaning person who comes to the center. And there's a lot of people that they are excited about what we're doing. A lot of Salvadorians that they have been benefited, their businesses have improved. So there's a lot of people that it's happy with what's going on here in Berlin. The business owners, of course, sometimes they have the need to exchange the Bitcoin that they get because the provider it's not accepting Bitcoin. But what we tell them is, if you can pay with Bitcoin, just do it. Because the idea is, if it's not in your wallet, it will be in somebody else's wallet within Berlin. Or mine just flies. Can you imagine when there are like 2, 3, 4 Bitcoins in Berlin, and Bitcoin hits $1 million, these people is going to be powerful. The city is going to be powerful. There are going to be a lot of changes in Berlin. So that's the idea, not to keep it for 2 or 3 years. It's like to keep it for a long period of time. I mean, this city is going to be like the proof that if you keep Bitcoin within a city, within a place, a lot of great things can happen.
Do you think what you built here could happen anywhere else than in El Salvador, where the Bitcoin law applies and where Bitcoin is legal tender?
I do. Here we have that advantage that it's a legal tender. So the government planted the seed, but you are not forced to use Bitcoin. It is our choice. And we want to help Salvadorians to make the choice, to educate them and to show them how to do it. And we are capable of doing it here, of making it work here. And that's what we're trying to do. That's the purpose of this place, making the Bitcoin adoption work here. So if Bitcoin adoption works in El Salvador, we are sure that it can work in any other country. Bitcoin is borderless, nobody controls it. So even if the government tells you not, I mean, if it is your choice to use it, you will still use it. So I think the Bitcoin is from the people and for the people. It's a powerful movement that nobody can stop. So I do believe that it can be done in any other country.
Evelyn talks about the idea of keeping Bitcoin circulating within Berlin, and it strikes me how neat of a concept that is. By creating a circular economy, they're essentially working to preserve Bitcoin collectively. And sure, no one knows what the future holds, but so far, Bitcoin has increased its value by around 60% per year against the US dollar over the long term. But then, Evelyn mentions that there are people in Berlin who suspect Bitcoin Berlin, and even foreigners like me staying there, to be somehow paid by the Bukele administration. And maybe part of me wants to find out if Evelyn actually is working for Bukele. After the interview, I leave the camera rolling.
In your experience, has Bitcoin banked unbanked people here in Berlin?
Yes, a lot of people. I know a lot of people who are using the wallet to save money, to buy a motorcycle, to improve the business. And when you talk to them, they tell you clearly, I like to get paid in Bitcoin because that's the way how I can save money. And because when I have the dollars, I spend it.
I didn't really manage to uncover whether Evelyn is some kind of undercover government agent or not. But it seems that for many residents of Berlin, Bitcoin isn't even about speculation or ideology. It's about access. Access to money that isn't swallowed by fees, stalled by bureaucracy, or outright denied. In this small town, tucked deep in the Salvadorian jungle, Bitcoin isn't just a technology. It's a means of participation. Our time in Berlin is up, and who else rolls up to pick us up here in the middle of the jungle than Juan?
You have a lot of energy.
I guess I'm not quite ready to let go of the whole top-down versus bottom-up question just yet. And knowing this is the last ride we'll share with Juan, well, my politically inappropriate questions only seem to intensify.
Are there, examples of journalists or people being prosecuted for...
Normally we have 4 or 5 journalists. One in jail because he was taking pictures of his family in the beach. So we speak about free speech, but...
Yeah. Was there free speech before Bukele?
Yes.
Yeah.
We always have this free speech here.
Yeah.
In fact, I think they're trying to get out of the Bitcoin right now.
The Bukele administration?
Yeah. He said that we have
Really?
gold here and perhaps mining in gold is better than Bitcoin.
Really?
The last speech that he gave, he tells something very strange like, you trust me in the security. You didn't trust me in Bitcoin. But now I am going to ask you to trust me in gold.
Okay.
That was a little bit discouraging message for Bitcoin. For me, it wasn't a good message. And then 2 weeks after, we hear that they are negotiating with IMF an agreement, and Bitcoin is not going to be more a legal tender in El Salvador.
Okay.
So I am
That's going to be interesting.
really, I think Kelly's getting out, wants to get out of Bitcoin.
Why do you think that is?
Because he's changing his speeches, speaking less about Bitcoin than 3 years ago.
But what do you think his motivation is? Is it like pressure from IMF?
But you say pressure, but we asked the IMF for money, so
Yeah.
and the IMF, we are going to give you money, but you have to follow our rules.
I really admire how Juan seemed to be able to balance all these nuanced and critical takes on the situation in El Salvador, seemingly without jumping to any conclusions. And maybe that's why I keep asking him all these questions, to have him answer my questions. Can a tool for financial freedom thrive inside a system that sort of limits other freedoms? Is adoption driven from the top necessary in order to build something from the bottom? Although my questions seem to get more specific, they are still questions and not answers. We're about to run out of time here in El Salvador, the epicenter of Bitcoin adoption. And I'll admit I'm a bit uneasy. We're more than halfway through our journey and the questions keep piling up. No clear answers, no neat conclusions. We make it to El Zonte Bitcoin Beach, the place where this whole national Bitcoin experiment began. Was I unconsciously expecting that there would be an envelope here waiting for me, with clear-cut answers to my questions? Well, there isn't. There is this sunset though.